Happy Friday, everyone. Coming to you from the Denver Curling Club, we have draw number 8 of 8 for pool play of the 2026 USA Curling Mixed National Championship. With this being the last round of pool play, at the end of this session, we will know who our playoff teams are and who they are playing. In fact, we know quite a bit of that already, and I will fill you in on those details as we continue with this broadcast. On our feature sheet, think of this as your Olympics hangover. If you miss seeing the Olympics and curling in the Olympics, well, we have a lot of Olympic heritage and experience on Sheet Bravo for you, with teams Roth and Benson. On Sheet Alpha, we have Team Coleman versus Team Johnson. On Sheet Charlie, we have Team Workin versus Team Falco. And on Sheet Delta, Team Strauss versus Team Irvin. Bravo, Charlie, and Delta all have playoff implications, and we will cover that as we talk over these next 2 hours. Sheet Alpha, as I said yesterday, well, I have the best view of, so we'll talk about Sheet A or Alpha because, well, I can see what's happening there. But also, we have a team that's trying to get their first win of the round robin, Team Johnson. So, not that I'm picking sides, but we would like to see everybody leave with, at least a win. So, one of the factors that are going to be important for the playoff implications and seeding is draw shot challenge. The final numbers for that should be online shortly. When they are, I will fill you in. Draw shot challenge is derived from, at the end of each team's pregame practice, they throw 2 draws to the button, 1 clockwise, 1 counterclockwise. Over all 8 draws, that gives you 16. For the event, you can delete your worst 2 results and you average the 14 best. And DSC is involved as a tiebreaker in the case of 3-way ties, should the 3 teams all have beat each other, which is a scenario we may have depending on what happens on Sheet Bravo. Sheet Delta also has playoff implications for who will qualify. We'll talk about that. And then finally, Team Workin and Falco playing on Sheet Charlie have already qualified for the playoffs, but who gets that 1 seed and gets to avoid the quarterfinals? The way the playoffs will work is second place from Pool A will play third place from Pool B, and second place from Pool B will play third place from Pool A in the quarterfinals tomorrow at noon Mountain Time. The winners of those go on to play the number 1 seeds in the semifinals, with the championship final at 10 a.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. All right, so let's start to talk about the games. Sheet Bravo, red rocks are Team Benson, yellow rocks are Team Roth. Team Benson has hammer in the first end and is currently sitting 1. Center line's a little bit messy, which works in the favor of Team Roth. So we see Courtney. I should introduce the teams. Of course. Yes. Sorry. So Team Benson. Lead Derek Benson. Second, Sarah Olson. Vice Matt Mellon, and skip Courtney Benson. Coach is some guy named Tyler George. You may have heard of him. Team Roth, and just got to make sure I get the throwing order correct here. Lead is Shalone Holbeck. Second is Tony Roth. Vice, but throwing skip rocks, is Croy Nornberger. And skip, but throwing third rocks, is Nina Roth. All right, I think Nina was trying to come through that port, didn't quite curl enough, and they did raise the guard into the house to sit, to sit third. So sitting second and third right now for Team Roth. The way it stands right now, a force of one would be a good result for Roth. Benson looking for a path to get more than one. I suspect this call is to try to tap that rock just outside the 12-foot. Which they were able to do, but over curled and a touch heavy. So that ran out the back of the house. The broom you see about 5.5 feet. That's what most of the teams were using for their LSDs before this draw. Between 5.5 and 6 feet, depending on the sheet and the thrower. For times, pre-game practice, the LSDs on sheet Bravo for clockwise was 14.1 seconds to T, and for counterclockwise it was 14.0. After the second practice, counterclockwise was 14.4. So it had sped up a small bit and is probably still speeding up. So we're going to see a hit for Team Benson here on those yellows. They're lined up nicely for not just the double takeout, but a roll. Ooh, and that over curled and missed everything. Okay, on sheet alpha, red rocks are Team Coleman, who have hammer in the first end, and Team Johnson is throwing yellow. On sheet Charlie, red rocks are Team Workin with hammer, Team Falco throwing yellow rocks. Finally, on sheet Delta, Team Strauss is throwing red rocks, Team Irvin is throwing yellow, and Team Irvin has hammer. So Team Roth tried to use their own rocks the same way that Team Benson had tried, which was to do the hit and roll. Just over curled, hit a little thin, and so Didn't get the roll into the 4-foot they were hoping for. These rocks over on the outturn side or the right side of the house, and I have to be careful because I know at least one of the throwers, I think it's Tony Roth, is a lefty. But I'm going to refer to in-turn and out-turn, assuming everybody's a righty, because I'm lazy. So those rocks seem pretty well protected. That red for Team Benson might be poking out just a bit, but if it were, I would think Team Roth might have gone after that. So this is our first skip rock for Team Benson. Sweepers are on it hard, trying to get it by that yellow guard, and they think it must have ticked. Yep. But rolled quite nicely to sit second. But it's rolled right into the open for Team Roth to have a go at. And they're lining up the broom to do that, I believe. With that broom, they're looking at a downweight hit. Let's get a stopwatch on that. Either that or they're trying the same hit and roll off their yellow that's biting the 12-foot. But no, I do believe they are going after that red that was just thrown by Courtney. All right, Tony sweeping that hard. 12 seconds, so hack. Nice hit and roll. Nice roll to sit shot. And from this angle, it looks like you can see about an eighth of it, which is probably enough to go after, and they're lining up the broom to do that. So Team Benson looking to throw. Looks a little less broom than Team Roth used for the hit they just made. So maybe throwing a touch more weight, but they can't, this won't be too heavy, I don't believe. Let's see what I get on the stopwatch on this one. So this is hammer. We're either going to have a steal of one or Team Benson one. Oh, I missed the stopwatch because I was talking. That's got to curl a lot. Oh, they're going for the in-off. I see, yep. Oh, how did I miss that? Oh, shot for two. Very nice in-off. Yeah. Why I totally missed that, and I don't know why. My brain must not be working very well yet. I got to get in curling mode. So very nice shot by Courtney, and nice two to get off to a good start in this game. So both of these teams have already qualified for the playoffs. In fact, the playoff teams for Pool B are already known. It's Benson and Roth currently playing, and Team Kislik will be the three playoff teams from Pool B, but the question of who finishes first, second, and third in the pool is wide open. So Team Roth, if they win this game, will win the pool because they'll have the best record, undefeated. In that case, Team Kislik would finish second in the pool, having beaten Benson earlier today. And so Team Benson would finish third and then play the second place team from Pool A. However, if Team Benson were to win this game, we would then have a three-way tie. And it will come down to DSC because Kislik will have beat Benson, Benson will have beat Roth, and Roth will have beat Kislik. That's if Roth wins this game. If Benson... Wait, did I just say it wrong? Benson beats Roth, right? There'll be a three-way tie, so Benson will have beat Roth, Roth will have beat Kislik, and Kislik will have beat Benson. So that will come down to draw shot challenge. And I believe this has been updated with the final results from this draw. Team Roth has the best DSC of the entire pool, so would get the number one spot, even with a loss. So I guess what I'm saying is Team Roth will win the pool, because if they win, they're undefeated and win on record, and if they lose, they will win the tiebreaker. So that means they will get the bye to play straight in the semifinals, while Team Benson versus Kislik will be playing a quarterfinal tomorrow. In the case of a three-way tie, Benson has a better DSC than Kislik, so I believe they would get the second seed, and Kislik would be the 3 seed. But I also am not an official, so this is not official. I could be wrong. All right, let's see what is happening on the other sheets. Okay, on sheet Charlie, which you can see on the YouTube's feed, which I haven't really said anything about yet. Team Orkin started with hammer and scored 3 in the first against Team Falco. Again, both of those teams have already qualified for the playoffs, so this is to determine who gets that automatic bye straight to the semifinals. On sheet Alpha, Team Coleman with hammer scored 1 in the first against Team Johnson. And over on sheet Delta, Team Irvin opened with 2 with hammer against Team Strauss. So while we're talking playoff scenarios, for Pool A, Team Falco and Team Workin have qualified for the playoffs. If Workin were to beat Falco in this game, then they would be tied on record, but Falco would win Workin would win head-to-head, so Workin would get the number 1 seed going into the playoffs and get the bye to the semifinal. If Falco wins the game, they will get the number 1 seed based on record. Either way, the losing team on sheet Charlie will be the 2nd seed, so we'll play the 3rd place team from Pool B tomorrow in the quarterfinals. The final playoff spot will be determined by the result on sheet Delta, in which Team Irvin needs to win to secure a playoff spot. With a win, they will be, based on record, the 3rd best team in Pool A and get the final playoff spot. With a loss to Strauss, we would have, guess what, a 3-way tie. But this one's a little bit simpler because the 3-way tie would be between Strauss, Irvin, and Dijon. And Dijon beat both Strauss and Irvin, so Dijon would get the 3rd spot in the case of a 3-way tie because they beat both teams they are tied with. So Irvin must win to get into the playoffs. Again, none of that is official because I am not an official at this particular event. But if your calculation shows something different, feel free to let me know on the YouTube, which reminds me I should bring it up so I can see if there are any comments. Well, I see there are 63 of you watching, so thank you for putting up with me and for being, using your Friday evening for those of you east of Colorado to watch curling. Well, I see there are 63 of you watching, so thank you for putting up with me. Using your Friday evening for those of you east of Colorado. I mean, those of you on the West Coast and in Alaska, you're just you're pretending to work while you're watching curling. I know. I mean, those of you on the West Coast and in Alaska, you're pretending to work. I don't want to leave out those curling fans in Hawaii, which I'm sure there are some. So back to sheet A before we get back to our feature sheet. I do want to call out our Alaska team because of the two juniors that are playing on that team, Charlie Clark and Coleman Martin. Very excited to have juniors that still compete at the U18 level, are competing in a national event against the highest levels of competition that this country has to offer. All right, so back to Sheet Bravo, which I haven't been watching and you have. I see a corner guard for Team Roth and a couple of rocks that are no longer there thanks to a successful hit by Team Benson. So rolling into the open there. At this point in the end, Team Roth will be looking for a way to get two, but with a single guard, it's going to be hard to do. They're going to make the hit. Looks like they're going to be very close to nose and just stay there. All right, so this is the first skip rock for Courtney in the second end. Looking to make that yellow rock go away. And I would think hit nose or even roll a little wide. Don't want to roll closer to that corner guard to make it easier for Team Roth to use the corner guard. Working hard to hold that line. It's going to roll a little bit in, but just a tiny bit. So look for Team Roth. Nina, or in this case, Croy. Sorry, Croy throws skip rocks to make the hit and try to roll behind that corner guard. All right. Well, Croy hits nose. At this point, I'm pretty sure we're going to see Team Roth try to blank this end. In that case, I expect Team Benson to want to roll a little bit closer to center just to make the blank a little bit harder for Team Roth. Sweepers are just doing a light clean. Now we're sweeping for curl. Yeah, we're going to get a little bit of roll in right to the center line. And here comes the attempted peel for a blank. You call it a peel if it's in the house? Why not? Let's call everything a peel. Croy's fired that rock down there. I got 6.25 seconds. Successfully blanked that end. So after two ends, Team Benson is up 2-0 on Team Roth. Team Roth with hammer in the third. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Sheet Charlie, team working against Team Falco. Working up 3-0 after the first, Falco with hammer in the second. And I'm looking for a camera view. Oh, yeah, I found the camera that shows me this will be Dave Falco's first rock, so Evan would have thrown his first rock of the second end. And currently, team working with a center guard, another guard, and two rocks in the house, but leaving anything in the close to the 4 foot to sit his shot. I'm not sure what Dave has called on this. Looks to me like they're trying to corner freeze to that rock. Yep. So they're behind a guard, corner frozen. Very nice shot to sit one. What's Evan going to counter with? I get the feeling he's just going to draw to the 4 foot. Yep, so he's going to make use of those guards, which would mean Team Falco would need to run back Team Work and Rock to make the double, but that would leave Falco sitting only one because the run back would not put the shooter in the house. So very smart call. Just got to make the draw and a sit shot. Even sitting second might be okay with this. All right, so here comes Evan with his last rock of the second end on sheet Charlie. Coming around the outturn side. Sweepers are on it. Now they're off. It's across the far hog line. They seem to like the weight. And it's in the 4-foot, just behind the tee line on that outturn side. What kind of shot is Mr. Falco eyeing up? He's eyeing up using his own rock to make the double. But it won't be a double in the sense that the rock he's hitting, his yellow, will jam on the red rock right behind it. So Falco lining up a shot to score 2 with the in-off. And here's the delivery from Dave Falco. Dave is the head ice tech at Denver Curling Club, but obviously not for this event. Sweeper Lance Wheeler is hard on it. And, well, hard for me to say exactly what happened because Lance is blocking the view of the camera. A rock, which must have been the one that was already corner frozen, is sitting in the 4-foot, and I think the teams have just agreed that yellow rock is shot. So I believe Falco scored 1 in this end. So they must have hit close to nose. Weren't able to hold the line to get the angle to make the double. Yep. Scoreboard is on sheet Charlie 3-1 working over Falcon. Looking at sheet Delta, in the second end, Team Strauss scored 2 to tie that game at 2-2. And on sheet Alpha, Team Johnson scored 1 in the second to tie that game 1-1 over with Team Coleman. So back to sheet Bravo. That's our Olympic sheet because each team has a former Olympian on it, being that Courtney Benson and Nina Roth. And of course, Team Benson's coach happens to be an Olympian as well. And then Sarah Olson from Team Benson represented the United States at the World University Games in mixed doubles. So top talent on display for you on sheet Bravo on this broadcast. So once again, I forgot. We're only in the third end. I mean, come on. So my name is Douglas Biesacker. I'm a member of the Denver Curling Club. I'm also a member of Rock Creek Curling. And I've been curling for 6 years. I just aged out of 5 and under thanks to the COVID year. My only claim to fame in 5 and unders is the team that won the Denver qualifier. We were the only team they did not beat. In fact, we tied the game against Team Swift that qualified for nationals. Only because my hit for 3 rolled out, so we only scored 2 for the tie instead of 3 for the win. Anyway, sheet Bravo looking very clean, which, you know, Team Roth is trying to manufacture a multiple point end, and with no guards, that's kind of hard to do. So we're looking at another blank. And Jacob and Jennifer, I agree with you. Sheet Delta, the Oregon team, Team Irvin, that game has massive playoff implications because, right, we know Sheets Bravo and Charlie, those teams are your playoff teams, or 4 of your 6 playoff teams. The one team not playing now that's qualified for the playoffs is Kislik. They're done. And a team that will be watching Sheet Delta very closely is Team Dijon. Dijon will want Strauss to win the game, which would hand the final playoff spot to them. If Irvin is able to win, they would get that playoff spot. Sorry, I was just checking the draw shot challenge results to see if things were as I had said earlier, and that does seem to be the case. So in the case of a 3-way tie for Pool B, Team Roth would be the top seed, they having the best seed, and Team Roth, should they win this game, would be the top seed. So Team Roth has wrapped up being the number 1 seed in Pool B to go straight to the semifinals. Again, none of that is official. That is just me working through the scenarios as I see them. And Benson is second in draw shot challenge, so should Benson win this game on Sheet Bravo, Benson will be the number 2 seed in the pool. Yes, Benson would be the number 2 seed. If Roth were to win this game, Benson would be the number 3 seed because they would be head-to-head with Kislik with identical records, but Kislik beat Benson earlier today to win that tiebreaker. So those are the playoff seeding implications for Pool B. Pool A, Workin and Falco is heads up. The winner on Sheet Charlie gets the number 1 seed and the bye to the playoffs, to the semifinals, I mean. And Team Irvin needs to win on Sheet Delta to make the playoffs. Should Team Strauss win that game, Team Dijon will get the final playoff spot. So the loser on Sheet Charlie in this game will be the number 2 seed. So we could see an all-Colorado matchup in a quarterfinal if Falco is the 2 seed and Kislik is the 3 seed. Sheet Bravo is, of course, as somebody from Colorado, I don't really understand, right? I mean, it's a Wisconsin versus Minnesota thing. I mean, I'm sure there's a rivalry there, right? We have Team Roth out of Madison, great club there, and Team Benson out of Duluth, another great club. I myself have not curled in either of them, but I've been to both. Awesome clubs, awesome people, lots of great curlers. Okay, well, I take my eyes away from Sheep Bravo to look up information, and something happened that means Team Roth is drawing for 2 to tie this game at 3. So I'm sure you were paying more attention to Sheep Bravo than I was. So clearly there was a miss there. Who missed and how, I couldn't tell you, but that's okay. 2-2 game after 3 on Sheep Bravo. You know, there is a second microphone here, so, you know, if we had a second commentator who could look up things like playoff implications while the other one pays attention to the game that they're commenting on, that would be really nice. I'm just saying. Okay, so after 3 ends, tie game. Benson will have Hammer coming home in the 4th before the mid-game break. Always want to come into that mid-game break, you know, on the up. Be that, you know, getting the result you wanted. I mean, whether Benson, what's their goal for this end? I'm sure it's to score more than 1. But, you know, they could well have the blank in the back of their mind. So, partly because they're going to the away end on sheet alpha, and I can see that from where I'm sitting. Team Johnson is currently sitting with 2 touching the button with a Team Coleman rock on the back of the 4-foot as backing. There's 1 very high guard that's not on the center line, and 2 red rocks out in the top of the 12-foot, far in the corner, with no guards. Looks like Team Johnson will probably be throwing up a center guard here to try to protect that. Looking for a steal. They are on skip rocks. This would be Team Johnson's first on sheet alpha. I see Charlie putting her broom down right just to the side of the center line at about a 2 guard location. Needs to curl. Curled up quite nicely. And immediately Team Coleman's lining up a hit. With the curl we're getting, certainly it's there, but with the red rock in the back of the house, I think they can only get rid of 1 of those. Prove me wrong. I'm sure they will by somehow getting rid of everything that's in the house. But from this angle, they can see less than a quarter of that rock. So, and just the angles on the rocks mean, I believe, even if they make contact with the top rock, yellow Team Johnson will still be sitting 1, but let's see what happens. So I see Garnet has asked who is doing the commentary. That is myself, Douglas Biesecker. Been a member of Denver Curling Club for about 7 years. Been curling for 6. Okay, the attempted hit crashed on the guard, so Team Johnson still sitting 2 with the backing. they're going to put that guard back up, and with where the Coleman rock ended up, there's going to be it's going to be a very difficult last shot for Team Coleman to try to get rid of anything. Okay, meanwhile on sheet Bravo, Team Benson has 2 rocks in the house, a corner, and then one just at the top of the forefoot. And Roth with the center guard, looks like they're peeling their own guard here. There's that peel. No cheers in the warm room for a peel. I guess we got to work on the atmosphere in here. Meanwhile, yep, beautiful 2.5 guard, just touching the center line, taking away any great option for Team Coleman to remove the yellow rocks. So Team Coleman setting up a draw. I can see the pin just barely, so a perfect draw would get Team Coleman a 1, but right now Team Johnson is sitting 2. Wow, we're looking at sheet Alpha. Sheet Delta, Team Irvin has scored 2 in the third to take a 4-2 lead over Team Strauss. On sheet Charlie, Team Orkin scored 1 to go up 4-1 over Team Falco. Here's the draw from Coleman. Touch heavy, it ticks the back rock, and they clear the rocks. I think it's 2 yellow for Team Irvin. Waiting for them to post the score. Yep, 3. So 3-1 Team Johnson over Coleman after 3 on sheet Alpha. Okay, so sheet Bravo. Team Roth currently has a rock in the 8-foot sitting shot. Benson with a sitting second. Obviously well separated, so if everybody makes the perfect shot from here on out, assuming no doubles, Benson is well set to score a 2. And very nice roll on that, to roll wide and a little bit back to make the double very, 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 very difficult. So I think we will see Team Roth try to make the hit and roll as close as possible to that other Benson rock. So here's the throw from Nina. Sweepers are going hard on it. And there's the roll back just beyond the center line. Very nice shot. So now Benson will look to hit and roll back the other way and get away from that double opportunity. Okay, on sheet Charlie, Falco's put up a corner, and then they just attempted, I think, a freeze to a working rock on the center line in the house. Came up a little short. Evans looking to get rid of that Team Falco yellow rock. And while I was looking at that sheet, I missed what happened on sheet Bravo, but obviously the hit must have rolled out. The shooter would have rolled out, so now Team Roth is going to hope to force one, although a blank looks much more likely at this point. Yep. And Croy's rock, his first, right? Yep. Hits and rolls out, leaving an empty house. There is a rock just outside the 12-foot near the tee line. They may be trying to draw as close as possible to that to try to make things a little more difficult. As I believe I already mentioned, sheet Delta has playoff implications, but it's the only sheet I cannot see at all. I have no direct view, and there are no cameras on the screen in front of me showing sheet Delta. So all I can do is give you scoreboard updates as I see them. Okay, so blank to finish and 4 as expected on sheet Bravo. Tie game, all to play for seeding in the last 4 rounds. Looking at sheet Charlie, Team Workin sitting with 3 rocks, 4 rocks in the house, possibly sitting 4, probably only 3. Falco with a hit to remove 1, 2 of them to sit first, but wide open for Evan to hit. So the teams that have finished play and will not be involved in the playoffs for this week are Team Ban from Chicago, Team Dunham from the Potomac Curling Club in Maryland, Team DeJong and Kislik have finished pool play but are waiting on playoff seeding and or potential playoffs. But mentioning Potomac brings up something because, well, he asked me to, but the first Mixed Fours National Championship held at the Denver Curling Club was held in 2019, and the skip of that winning team was Hunter Clausen. Hunter represented the Potomac Curling Club. He is also now the head ice technician at Rock Creek Curling. And it was last night when I was curling at Rock Creek that he made sure to mention this fact. So I told him I would put it on the air. But another reason to mention Potomac, although it's not 100%, but it's 99% certain my daughter will go to school in the DC area, so she will be curling at Potomac Curling Club next year. All right, looking at sheet Charlie. Falco with hammer. Evan Workins about to throw his last rock. Trying to make sure Team Falco can't score more than one here. Right now, Evan is sitting second. Score update on sheet Delta. Team Strauss scored 1 in the 4th, so Team Irvin leads after 4-3. Sheet Bravo is back out on the ice, but we'll put our focus on Charlie for the moment. Okay, with that successful hit, actually I hadn't thought of it. Falco cannot hit nose to sit a shot on that working rock. They're lining up a double potentially here. That with the angles could even be a triple. I think that the Falco rock in the top of the 12-foot is currently sitting third. So I believe they're eyeing up the double that would remove the two rocks sitting 1 and 2 at the moment. They're very far apart. One on being on the center line in the top 12, and one on the T line at the edge of the 12-foot. Which school? Georgetown. This seems to be my daughter's current favorite. All right, here comes the shot from Dave. Lance Wheeler working hard. Hits it thin. Makes the double, but rolls out. And now it's a question of which shot that's left in the house is shot. I believe it's the yellow. They're clearing them. I believe it's 1 yellow. Just needed to hit it a smidge thinner to keep the shooter in the house. Current score after 4 is working 4, Falco 2. So the only game to not reach the mid-game break is Sheet Alpha, where Team Johnson is up 3-1 after stealing 2 in the third. So Coleman, the the San Francisco team. Ooh, don't get that wrong. Looking to score coming into the mid-game break. At the moment, so Coleman throwing hammer and facing 3. Looks like they're just going for the downweight hit on a Johnson rock sitting in the 4-foot to get their 1. That would cut the lead to 3-2 after 4. Sweepers are on the rock. Not working too hard. They must like it. It looks like they're trying to hold the line a bit now. It is over curling. It removed shot rock, but rolled quite close to the edge of the house. And there's now 3 rocks, 2 yellow and 1 red, very far separated from each other, all near the outer edge of the 12-foot. The players are having their looks. They removed one of the yellows. I don't know if it's because it was closer or further. And they're looking again at the red and the yellow, and I think it's probably time for a measure. Yeah. Yep, looks like there will be a measure, but whether it's a measure for 2 yellows or 1 red, I do not know, or just 1 red. Here comes the official with the measuring tool. Meanwhile, on Sheet Bravo, Team Roth, without hammer, put up the center guard, and Team Benson drew into the house, but they're behind the tee line. I'm just going to keep my eye on this measure on Sheet Alpha. Yes, it's the only game that has no playoff implications. But like I said, it's the sheet I have a direct view of. And I have a bias towards wanting to support any game involving juniors. Speaking of juniors, Bruce Irvin of Team Irvin, the skip, he coaches a U20/U18 team out of Portland. Very successful team, qualified for junior nationals this year. And we had a good chat earlier today about that team and their prospects. Okay, the officials swinging the tool, and I saw a finger point at red, and they've moved the red rock in. So whether that's 1 red or limiting it to 1 yellow, I will let you know as soon as the officials hang the score. All right, and on Sheet Bravo, things are getting more interesting. We have a center guard, and then we have a couple rocks all behind the tee line. Was that one red? Yeah. Okay, sheet alpha, one red. So score is 3-2, Johnson over Coleman after 4 ends. So you will have seen the ice crew at work during the mid-game break. Our local ice crew, we have Rob and Zach from the Denver Curling Club, pushing mops and sweeping the hack out. Doing the mid-game break pebbling is Jason Strong from Curl Vegas. They got their first dedicated facility a year ago. Well, probably a year and a half ago. I was at that club twice last year. Got to curl on it in a 5 and under qualifier last year. And our Jason is the deputy ice tech at this event, and our head ice tech out of Poinet Curling Club is Jeff Schliesman. And as Jeff said right before this draw, he's almost ready to go home, which is good. We don't want him to go home before the event is over. You can see Jason strolling along the boards between sheets B and C right there. All right. Excellent ice. I actually haven't timed any of the draw times since the game started. We were at 14-4 after second practice. So let's see about getting a draw time now on sheet Bravo from this rock for Team Benson. Benson with hammer, currently sitting 1, but behind the tee line. I got 14-2-6, and that rock is just behind. Yep. So yet another rock behind the tee line. So probably about 14-3 to 14-3-5 to tee. So fast ice, but not overly fast ice. I heard one, actually it was somebody from Team Johnson said, oh, they'd really like to see 15.5 second ice. I said, be careful what you wish for. Okay, so Croy with his first for Team Roth. I would assume the call would be to freeze to those rocks behind the tee line, although, again, yeah, trying to limit Team Benson to 1. Nice draw. Oh, it's behind the guard. So very good. They're sitting shot, touching the button. But that's a very high guard. There's also the in-off on that outside rock. Yes, I know I missed the in-off in end 1 that Courtney used to get her 2. No need to do that here. Looks like with that broom, they're throwing a very down weight, back line weight, maybe back 8 weight. Yeah, probably back 8 weight. Hit to push that shot rock over. So this will be Courtney's first. And she does have hammer in this end. And I've started my stopwatch. I get 13-2. Touch heavy, probably a little heavier than they were looking for. Didn't curl enough. Sitting second, but it's also exposed. Let's see what Team Roth does. If I'm Team Roth, I do have concerns about that yellow rock on the tee line and the 8-foot being used to make the in-off double. Croy comes in to have another look, probably eyeing up the angles. Tony's coming down the ice. Let's see, time-wise, everybody's well ahead of time, lots of time. Team Roth has 14 minutes, 45 seconds. Team Benson currently at 15 and a half minutes, and we're nearing the end of the fifth end. So lots and lots of time to play the last three ends of this game. So they've gone with a draw, which is what I think we were expecting. Just where do they want to put it? I would think solidly locking that on to the red in the back of the forefoot would be a pretty good result. And I forgot to stop my watch at the hog line. They were just a touch heavy. They rolled, pushed it back, so sitting 2. So now Team Benson is eyeing up their options. I mean, they've got 4 rocks in the house, but they're sitting 3, 5, 6, and 7. So how do they turn sitting third into sitting 1 or 2 or more? I believe they're going for a double here, hitting the one just to on the side of the button with a tick over to the side, and then hitting the one on the back of the button close to nose to remove both of those, or at least move them far enough to get at least 1, if not 2, if not 3. All right, they make the hit, and so hit the one in the back of the button first to get their 1. So 1 for Team Benson to take the lead in this game in the fifth end. So after 5, it is Team Benson 3, Team Roth 2. So tight game, as we would expect. As we would expect all the games at this stage of the competition. Let's see what's happening on sheet Charlie. Looks like Dave Falco is throwing his first rock of the fifth end. Evan Workin will have hammer with Workin up 4-2. And what is Dave looking at? Drawing one into the house to sit second, ideally, or even first to sit 2. Yep. In front of the tee line, I don't know if it curled as much as he wanted. Evans eyeing up the hit. I think there's a double there. In fact, a nose hit might do what Evan needs, which would leave Evan sitting 2. There is a yellow rock in the back of the house, well, to the side, sitting 4th at the moment. Well, I can see there odd skip rocks on sheet delta, but like I said, I cannot see anything that's happening over there. I see Bruce eyeing up something. All right, here comes Evans rock. Hits a little wide, so the yellow jams. Yellow's still sitting 1. It's in the wide open, so Falco's eyeing up the hit. They'll be looking to hit and roll under to, in their mind, optimize the opportunity for a steal, or at the very least, force 1. Now Dave's come back in the house. I think he's telling Claire exactly where he wants to roll to. Sorry, I said Claire. That is not. That is Becca Wood. My bad. Here comes Dave with his last stone on sheet Charlie for Team Falco. Lance Wheeler sweeping, the thing he does best. Over curls and rolls out, leaving Evan, relatively straightforward shot for 1, but he's got to get the angles right if he wants to. I do not see an option for 3 because of the guard. He can't make the in-off double. At least I don't believe so. Again, I'm looking at an overhead view that may not be perfect in terms of showing the geometry of things. All right, Rachel holding the broom for Evan on sheet Charlie. Evan and Rachel both coach junior teams. In fact, Evan coached the current national women's U20 champion, Team Peckowitz. And Evan makes the nice hit and roll. Is able to roll towards the yellow, but to score only 2. Could not hit it with enough oomph to push the yellow rock to far enough to sit 3. So, but Evan is now up 6-2 after 5 ends. Team Falco's gonna be looking for a big end in end 6 here. Looking at sheet Bravo. I see Tony Roth delivering a stone. Tony's the second for Team Roth. Throwing a hit on this Benson rock that was sitting at the top of the 4-foot. Getting a little bit of a roll behind the corner. And leaving the side exposed that is convenient, because to hit that, you would probably jam on a Benson rock. So Team Benson peeling the guard. if I'm looking at the house on sheet alpha, Team Coleman has 1, 2, 3 rocks in the house and 3 center guards. Not looking good for Team Johnson in this end. They're at the home end, which means, yep. The skip for Team Johnson has got his first rock. And Team Johnson does have hammer, so need to make something happen here. Okay, on sheet delta, yellow, Team Irvin scored 1 with hammer in the 5th. So Team Irvin is up 5-3 after 5 ends. Again, Irvin needs to win that game to make it into the quarterfinal tomorrow. Should they fail to win that game, De Jong will get that quarterfinal spot, that last playoff spot. At least, again, if I've said it, it's just my calculation. It's not official until the officials make it official. Okay, well, on sheet alpha, John Johnson is now sitting 3rd. So that would have Coleman sitting 1st and 2nd. Coleman looking to steal to tighten this game back up.
Got room right now. Ton of room. This is also there. Ton of room. Go if you can. I think we got it, Barry. No matter how you guys. Keep going. Yep, keep going.
All right, so on sheet Bravo, Team Roth has hammer. Team Benson with a rock touching the button. So Roth will be, and in fact, it's Nina throwing. We'll be looking to hit and roll far enough to not set up the easy double. Now, which way is that? I'm not sure I know the answer to. Yep. So roll over to corner freeze to their own. Again, the angles on the overhead view are less than ideal, so I cannot tell how well guarded those rocks are. From my perspective, the yellow they just threw is wide open for a hit. They're eyeing up a hit with that broom. And the double looks on for Benson to sit 3. Very, very tight broom. Going to be throwing a lot of weight at this. Here comes Courtney's first rock. Yep, lots of weight. That is very heavy. That may actually touch the guard. Yes. Ooh. It does end up peeling a yellow rock out of the back of the house and opening that up. So Roth will do what with their rock?
This is always flipping around if they hit it. It's getting better. Get better. Yep, go ahead. Line's good. Line's good. Line's really good.
Probably drawing into the house with that broom. Certainly not guarding. For Courtney's rock, I had 7.2 seconds. Oh, they are going for the hit and roll on this Benson rock. And they roll, but not enough to sit third, I don't believe. That's why I thought they might draw. So if Benson is able to make this, the gear effect will be in action here. Let's see which way they're coming. Are they throwing in turn or out turn at this? Probably out turn. And they don't want to hit high side because that could push the back rock onto the red, removing the red that currently sits third, or at least moving it enough. So a nose hit should do it.
Line's good. So now tight, straight. It's always straight. We're live, but it's always straight. Really good right there. Good. Good, buddy. Really good.
All right, sweeping hard to hold the line. Looks like they're right on nose. Oh, no, it does jam the rock in the back. A little unfortunate with the angles there. So Benson sitting 1, but wide open for the hit for Roth to sit 3. Croy coming down to say exactly where he wants to hit that rock, which I think is right on nose.
Well, we probably want to punch it through and sit here, right? What do you think?
Oh, meanwhile, on sheet alpha, Team Coleman was able to steal 2 in the 5th end to take a lead 4-3 over Team Johnson. Okay, here comes the hit. Just didn't curl enough. Rolled, but didn't roll out. It's a biter right at the side of the 12-foot. So what is Benson going to do to limit Roth on this?
It's pretty thick on this one back. It's like 7/8. I know I'll tell you again. 7/8 on this one.
By the way, a couple rocks ago, I think I said Courtney was throwing. It would have been Matt that threw the hit that ticked the guard. So apologies. I suspect they're eyeing up this double on these rocks on the right side of the house. Okay, here comes the throw from Courtney. Nice heavy weight. Looks like she makes the double and sits to sit second. So, very nice shot, as we would expect from a former Olympian. Too bad I didn't have a watch on that one. We'll have to watch the replay and time the replay with my watch. Meanwhile, over on sheet Charlie, I see 2 working rocks on the center line in the forefoot and no guards. And Dave Falco eyeing up a double that would blank the end. Is this Dave's last? No, this will be Dave's first over on sheet Charlie. Meanwhile, Team Roth is just going to draw in for 2. Kreunenberger's rock right to the back of the forefoot for 2 to take the lead 4-3 over Team Benson. So Benson down 1 with hammer in the 7th. So we'll be looking to score multiples or possibly blank and go into the last needing to score 2 for the win or 1 for the tie. I'm going to put my money on Benson blanking 7. Unless, of course, somehow there's a bunch of misses and they can score a whole bunch. But no, a blank. Meanwhile, what's happening? Charlie. Workin's still sitting 1, and Falco's sitting in the edge of the 12-foot on the other side. And Evans eyeing up the hit on that to sit 2 to try to force 1 from Falco. By the way, there's a gaggle of fans for Team Benson. They're wearing Team Benson hats. Happen to be sitting in the high seats, the bar stool-like seats, in just such a way that I can't see the scoreboard of sheet D without moving my head substantially. So, quite a lot to maneuver to keep you guys updated on scores. Okay, so on Charlie, Working is sitting 2, and with that broom, I don't know, maybe Dave is just doing the hit and roll, or he could be drawing for his 1. Here comes hammer for yellow on sheet Charlie. I just heard a broom slam. I wonder what shot I missed that they missed. And Dave is just drawing in. It looks light. Can Lance Wheeler drag that rock to shot? He cannot. It looks to me like a steal of 2, and that will probably be handshakes, if that's the case. Keeping my eye on, yep, there it is. Dave Falco and Evan Workin have shook hands, and that game is over. So Evan Workin, Team Workin, gets the number 1 seed and goes straight to the semifinals. Dave Falco will, still be waiting to see who his opponent will be in the quarterfinal. Okay, in end 6, Team Strauss scored 1, but they are down 5-4 after 6 ends. So Irvin up 1 with hammer in the 7th. Are we going to put any bets on blanking that end and coming home up 1? Or is Irvin going to go for the idea of scoring at least 1? Are they happy with scoring 1 in 7 and being up 2 without? If it were me, I would go for the blank if it's on offer. So the final score on sheet Charlie was Evan Workin 8, Dave Falco 2. Congratulations to Team Workin for winning that pool and going straight to the semis. Okay, attention back on sheet Bravo. We have a couple more rocks on Alpha to go. So Team Roth, without hammer, has the center guard, a nice tight 3 guard, and they've got a rock, on the button. And Team Benson with a rock in the corner of the house, behind T though. So Team Benson, this would be Sarah Olson's rock. Peeling the guard or running it back to make the double. Which is it? Oh, they don't get the angle right. They run it back and jam. So we now have Team Benson red center guard and a Team Roth rock at the top of the button. And now Team Roth is eyeing up the hit on that Benson rock and the biting the 12-foot in the back of the house. Here comes the throw from Tony. Croy sweeping it hard. Looks like he's going to get right on nose. Yep. So Team Roth sitting 2. Let's see what the decision is for Benson. It looks like it's just a peel. Here comes the peel from Matt. Hard sweep from Derek. And, just ran between both yellow rocks. I thought they might get the angle right to possibly jam on the yellow rock in the back of the house, but the peel was successful. Team Roth sitting 2, 1 on the top of the button on the center line and 1 on the T line out near the 12-foot. So Nina's rock. Can I assume they're going to throw up a center guard? That rock is very wide. It needs to curl a long way. It's going to come in the house. It's going to come all the way to T, and they almost freeze it to that rock. Benson signaling peel weight, looking to try to remove both rocks while rolling over close to the Roth rock and the edge of the 8-foot on the T line. Meanwhile, on sheet Alpha, there's people in the way. I believe this is Team Coleman's last rock. They're sitting 1, and they throw up a guard. The center line is very crowded. There's a lot of rocks in the back of the house and a lot of rocks in front of the house. Johnson will be looking for a way to get their 1. Scoring in the 6th end would be their goal at this point. Just getting one. Looks like they have a tap they're eyeing up. They just have to tap a rock that's currently in the 12-foot, biting the 8-foot to enough to outcount a Benson rock, a Coleman rock that's in the middle of the 8-foot. So they just need to move it a couple of feet towards the button. But they're still talking about it. I see John Johnson, shaking his head. Yeah, maybe, yes. Oh, timeout, Team Johnson. And the timer just realized it, and the timer is now is making the timeout official. So we'll probably get a few seconds back on that clock. All right. Since I ignored Sheep Bravo, this Benson rock's very heavy. Is it gonna stick around? It doesn't look like it. Nope, it's been kicked aside. So Team Roth sitting 4. No, 3. Oh, 4. There's a yellow rock in the back of the house. I can't see it from one angle, but I see it in the other view. They're trying to figure out where to put that. With that broom, they might be trying a split. Or they're just drawing to the top of the house on the other side from the rock, the other rock that's in front of the tee line in the 8-foot. But my money's on a split. All right. Team Johnson's timeout is still happening. John's now on his way to the far end. I'll keep an eye on sheet alpha as they're about to finish N6. And somewhat surprisingly to me, there's a yellow rock on the other side that's a 3-guard that they might be trying to run back to remove the red to try to sit 2, but it over curls and does not. And red steals 1, so Team Coleman is up 5-3 after 6 on sheet alpha. All right, just peeking over at sheet delta, where the current score is Team Irvin is up 5-4 over Strauss. Irvin with hammer in the 7th. And there's a screen high on the wall, all the way over on the other side of the warm room. And if what I think I see is true, yellow is currently sitting 3 with 2 at the top of the 4-foot, a center guard, and now another guard on the center line in the 12-foot. So assuming there's no reds hiding in there somewhere, yellow is looking to set up a big end here in the 7th on sheet delta. How many rocks left in that end, I have absolutely no idea. All right, sheet Bravo. This Benson rock is probably sitting 2nd. So Roth sitting 1st with a rock in the in the 8-foot. And it looks like they're just drawing in to sit 2. So Benson has hammer, so Croy will be looking for the steal if at all possible, or forcing one from Courtney. All right, sweepers are going hard on this rock. They're off now. I had 14-2, but I'm pretty sure I was late with my stopwatch. And he's going to draw right down, well, to the back of the 4-foot, just above the Benson rock. I'm trying to see if there's a way for Benson to score 2, and I just don't see it, because the angles just aren't there. The rock right of the center line at the top of the house, I believe, is sitting second. Well, it is sitting second. So Roth sitting 1-2. So Benson is going to draw to sit 1. Same broom that Croy just used for his draw. So draw out of the button for 1 for Courtney to tie the game, but Roth would then have hammer coming home in the 8th. Okay, here comes Courtney's rock. I've put my stopwatch on this one. Let's see if I remember to stop it at the far hog line. Sweepers are off it. Is it heavy? Is it just right? Sweeping for curl. 14-1. So the weight's good. Touch heavy. She ticks and rolls over for a steal of 1. So after 7, Roth has a lead of 2. Benson will come home down 2 with hammer in the 8th. Score is 5-3 Roth in that game. Same score on sheet alpha. Coleman is up 5-3 on Johnson. And I'm trying to have a look at sheet delta. Lots of people in the way between where I'm sitting and that sheet. So it looks like Team Irvin is throwing, and it's Bruce, so it's a skip rock. I don't know if it's his first or second. He was trying to throw a hit, and it flashed. It looks like he's sitting 1. But Team Strauss is now eyeing it up, so that would have been Bruce's first. And I suspect if all the rocks I can see from this angle are really there and there's none others, Team Strauss will attempt to make a similar hit that Bruce was just trying to make to remove a rock, but in this case Team Strauss will use the rock that was missed by Bruce to try to run it back and take out the shot. rock that is yellow. Yeah. Setting up the angle, looking at the angles for that shot, definitely that is the call to run that back. It's getting crowded and noisy in the warm room, so very hard to see between all the people. Okay, so over on sheet Delta, Team Strauss called a timeout. Looks like the call they were looking at is the most obvious thing to do. Hey, Evan, nice win. Evan working just at the end of the table here. After that fabulous win over defending champ T. Falco to get the bye straight into the semifinal. All right, so Courtney Benson needs to score 2. But like we said, this is just for seeding. Team Roth, if I'm right, Team Roth has top seed, win or lose. This just determines whether Benson will be the 2 seed or the 3 seed. If they are the 2 seed, they will play either Irvin or DeJong in the quarters. If they are the 3 seed, they will play Team Falco in the quarters. Again, all matchups in the playoffs are uncertain until the officials, set those matchups for you. I'm just telling you the way I see it. So, Courtney or Team Benson with a nice rock behind their corner guard. Team Roth trying to clog up that middle. Bring in another one in the house. A bit heavy. They're going to come behind T. So right now, Team Roth sitting 1-2, Benson sitting 3, and the call is to draw right to the Team Roth rock behind the T line. All right, so over on sheet Delta, I missed the Strauss rock. I don't know what they tried to do, but from here it looks like all the rocks I was talking about are still where they were, so they tried something else and apparently did not succeed because I see a yellow in the top of the 4-foot, and then yellow's sitting 3rd. So in fact, if Bruce is able to make the hit that I think I see on nose, he's got to be careful. If he's wide, he is going to jam on his own rock in the 4-foot. He has a chance to score 3 with this hit again. That screen is small and far away, so I'm taking a big guess giving you that level of detail. So the draw for Team Benson, just a touch heavy, or wide really. So Team Roth eyeing up the hit. They'd like to hit and roll over a touch. No, I did say Workin won the pool, so they have the bye. Did I misstate something? Because Falco will be playing in the quarterfinal against a TBD team. It could be Benson. It could be Irvin. It could be DeJong. All right, the hit from Roth was successful. So we're looking at up room that would be a draw to sit 1 for Team Benson. Getting to nose may not mean they sit shot. They need to find a way to score more than 1. Oh, this rock looks a little bit light, and it does. It ticks the guard. Moves the guard over, opening up a port to shot rock, which we can expect Team Roth to close with this next rock from Nina. Okay, so on sheet Delta, Team Irvin scored 1 in the 7th. So they are up 6-4, up to without hammer in the 8th. So they will be looking to limit Team Strauss to 1 to ensure their spot in the playoffs to take on, in that case, a team TBD, Kislik or Benson. Yep. Oh, very nice shot by Nina. Took out a red rock at the top of the 12-foot and rolled over to guard the shot rock. Team Roth now sitting 1, 2, 3, 4. One lonely red rock behind the guard that counts 5th. All right, here comes the shot from vice skip Matt Mellon. Obviously a hit. Exactly what they're hitting at what angle, I am not 100% sure. I don't think that was quite what was called. They got rid of the top yellow and rolled out. Probably looking to make a thin hit on that to make a double. So Croy currently talking through if we do this, this is what Team Benson will do. If we do that, this is what they will do. Did they call timeout? The clock is still running for Team Roth. They're just... Yep, they've made their decision. Looks like a draw to me. Thought they might consider peeling that Benson guard. So this is Nina's second. So Team Benson has 1 rock in the house and 3 more to play with to get their 2 for a tie, or 3 for a win. I've lost track. I don't know if I updated you on sheet alpha, but Team Johnson scored in the 7th end to tie the game at 5. So Team Johnson with 2 in the 7th to tie the game at 5-5. Sheet Delta, Team Irvin is up 6-4 on Team Strauss. Team Strauss has hammer. On sheet Alpha, Team Coleman has hammer in the 8th. And there is a timeout from Team Benson on sheet Bravo. The teams have plenty of time. This is a strategy timeout. This is not a timeout to save clock time. And there's Tyler George giving Croy Nurnberger a hug. Take it you all saw that. We're all friends, even when we're playing each other. So early in the eighth end on sheet delta, I see a Team Irvin Rock in the top of the forefoot and a center guard. And I see two Team Strauss corner guards that are stacked on each other. And most of the warm room is looking at the overhead view of sheet Bravo, making their call for what Team Benson should do. There's a straightforward double. It would leave Team Benson sitting fourth and fifth. Looks to me like that's what's being eyed up. Actually, at the right angle, could you do that? Could you make a triple out of that? Maybe. But still keep the shooter. No, I don't think so. So I think there really is only one shot here. Oh, or they're going for the triple. They do, but they roll out. So that's obviously, it was there, willing to lose the shooter. So now there's two yellow rocks behind T and the Benson rock behind that lonely corner. What is Team Roth going to do with their penultimate rock? Croy's like, we can put it on this side over here. And then no matter what they do with these rocks behind there, we'll still sit shot. Or do we put it top of the forefoot guarding our current rocks? I think I'd rather put it behind the corner or closer to the corner. You don't want to set up the angles for a triple that leave Benson sitting two. Of course, Benson will be maybe hoping for just such an arrangement. All right, here comes Croy's first. Sweepers are off it. It looks like, well, yeah, it's coming into the house. Over on the left side. Fully exposed, but makes any sort of double very, very difficult. So Team Benson is going to take on the two rocks behind the tee line, I believe. If they do that, they would sit first and third, giving themselves a chance for two. The call is to curl that rock. Oh, going hard on curl. Looks a bit wide. They're going to make the hit and roll to sit third. So think we'll see Team Roth just hit that, or are they going to draw in? No, they're going to hit nose. They would out count the Benson rock in the top 12 to set 3 and probably seal up the game with this hit. Okay, looking at sheet delta, I see 2 yellow rocks in the house, actually 3. 2, and I see 3 corner guards for Team Strauss, but no Strauss rocks in the house. All the yellow rocks are exposed. There are no guards protecting them. Croy's hit is going to be successful. He's going to roll out. So at the moment, actually, Team Benson has a double for 2 to tie this game. So that miss by Croy a bit costly. Although again, Team Roth will be the top seed in this pool because all the tiebreakers fall in their favor. Courtney can see all of the target rock. Just has to hit slightly off nose to make the double. Nose hit would jam with the rock behind it. I think something just happened on sheet delta, but I have no idea what. All right, here comes the throw from Courtney, and it's wide. Oh no, she missed. So the steal from Team Roth to win the game and win the pool outright without the need for tiebreakers. The only team to go through pool play undefeated is Team Roth. So, I don't know if the YouTube feed will stay on, but I'm going to try to keep commentating on sheet delta. As the playoff implications are huge. There's a rock at the top of the 4-foot on sheet delta that might be a red rock that sits second. Again, the screens are far enough away, I can't be 100% certain. Here comes a Team Irvin stone.